All right, looks like we're live. So I know yesterday I said we were going to go ahead and do a random gaming stuff, but last night my group got to this level, Slither Swamp, which I didn't expect to happen, and I didn't have it prepped. So I was doing some testing offline before I got on. I started prepping out this room. Um, we need to go through, populate this level. When we finish that, which we should in an hour or two, we will go ahead and take care of finishing up the Yawning portal map that we were working on yesterday. Um, so we should be good to go and finish all that stuff up, and then next week we can start another random map. Like I said, I think we're going to jump around for a little while until I know I have to actually start messing with my Dungeon of the Mad Mage maps again. I'm well ahead. I mean, I'm like, we're on level 8. I've got map through level 17, I think. So I'm good on my group, but I'm through 17 because my son won't make his own maps. He's driving me crazy. Driving me crazy. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pop up another window over here. Let me do this. I'm keeping 2 windows open with Foundry today so that I can actually do the stupid imports on this side. All right, so let's take a look at our descriptions here. I'm trying to figure out what we have or haven't done. I'm looking and there's some stuff populated down here. I guess I had started, came down, swept down the side I thought they'd go. Where last night I kind of railroaded them. I'm like, you got to go that way. So we have some of this done, but we don't have much of it done. So we know that's a trap. I looked at that. Let's make sure. What's going on here? Is that thing not actually there? Do I have to repopulate this? I'm gonna restart this. It's not behaving. I've had a few issues. Last night there's some weird shit going on. I have to admit that there was some weird shit going on in game while we were playing that I was not happy about. All right, so let's see. Now we're able to do it. Let's look over here. Yep, we can pick on that. I'm just making sure these things it looks like we had dropped before are actually here. All right, so looks like we've done through. Oh, it's because when you go to that you can't select something. That's stupid. Stupid on my part. Temple of the Great Snake. There's a ghost. We do need a swarm of insects, right? Let's see if we've imported that. I don't see it there, so I'm going to do that on this side. because that's the boring shit. And we need to hide that. I don't think the characters that I have are going to search the mud around the statue, but we'll drop the swarm in there anyway. They need the money, let's be honest. Their group lost everything recently. It's kind of funny. All right, so we'll wait for that on this screen to say, yes, we did it. All right, so we'll let that thing do whatever the hell it's going to do. I'm probably going to need an image for the insect swarm. Swarm of cranium rats. Oh, look, swarm of insects, centipedes. We have that. So this is what we're going to do. Is that over here? So I must have done this before, and here we go. We're going to drop that there. Let's double check. Medium size, so that'll just crawl up somebody's shorts. It's always fun, isn't it? Group of centipedes up your shorts. That would really suck. Let's do that. We'll tokenize this, even though it doesn't really matter, because I like it to at least look a little better. And what this does, once we drop it on the map, it does throw it here. We want this to be in the munched folder. I should create subfolders, but I'm kind of lazy. I end up doing so much prep work. I don't know, can you really say it's lazy? I just don't feel like doing even more prep work. So we're going to put the swarm of monsters. Swarm of centipedes there. Make it invisible. And when they open the bag, bam, centipedes in their shorts. So last night, I have a feeling I'm going to have to look for another player for my Wednesday group. I think one of the players has quit. He just hasn't told us yet. It could be that his work is just going crazy, but we haven't seen him in a bit. So, you know, I have to prep. So we need one of these to glow green. Glows green around an emerald that lies on the floor in the middle. It starts its turn and the water must make a saving throw for poison. All right. So this is how we set this up. We will create, and let's do this. You guys don't need to hear repetitive notifications echoing through the speakers. go. So the way we'll create this, it's in the middle of the room. Doesn't really say how much the glow is, does it? Does it say it lights the room? Water glows green around an emerald that lies on the floor. So right here we'll create a light source. Looks like we did create it, didn't we? And we need some kind of light animation. So how about this? Let's update it. And we're going to leave that on, just like that. All right, so they're going to walk in the room and they'll see that glowy stuff and be like, oh, cool, what's that? Blech! Poison, that's what it is. Make a saving throw. Because that's what happens. Middle of this cavern, large stone rises 3 feet above the water. Magically emits a hissing sound. Character who touches a stone hears a sibilant whisper asking an individual ask a question aloud. Voice answers, once the stone is used this way, it cannot be used again until the next dawn. So, that's basically an augury stone. That's I guess, good. So where's room 17? Watch post. 2 Drow elite warriors. I know we have those. So let's pull them in. I tell you what, I prefer pulling them in from this because it kind of gives me health status and stuff like that. So let me go ahead. I'm going to go over here and import again. It'll take a moment. There's something wrong with my... I think I've got a space in my server somewhere because it is misbehaving. So it takes a minute because it just brings it in 900 times, even though it only comes in once. You know what? I should check this before I go through that, right? Yeah, so we need to do that. Let's munch. $23 monsters. This will take a little bit. So yeah, last night we were missing one of our players. Well, we were missing 3. 2 of them had work issues. One has been out for like a month now. So 3 of them showed up. I'm like, there's 3 of you. If you don't want to play tonight, that's fine. If you do, as DM, I'll make it worth your while. And they're like, oh, maybe we'll get magic. And the one guy keeps going, I just want a bag of holding. That's all I want is a bag of holding. That's not a game-breaking thing. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's fine. And they made it. They made it through the one combat. They do have the NPC that's kind of tagging along with them for now. So that probably helped save their lives. But, it was funny because I was already thinking. I ended up random rolling on the on one of the item tables in the DMG, and I didn't go too powerful. But the one guy, I said, "Look, I can roll, give you something random, or I can give you that bag of holding, so I don't have to hear you cry about bags of holding anymore." And it's like, "I want the bag of holding." I rolled. It came up with something actually pretty cool, and he goes, "I still want the bag of holding." I'm like, that's fine. So I gave him a bag of holding. And because I do play encumbrance and weight and stuff like that. I mean, if you're walking around like a pack mule with shit all over your back, you wouldn't be able to do anything, especially if you're a freaking caster like he is with no strength. So, you know, the idea of him walking around with this massive bag of shit is just ridiculous. So I'm like, yeah, I'm tired of hearing the group whine. We'll give them that. And then, oh, what did I give that other character? I'm going to stop watching that for a minute. We'll reopen that. And it was kind of funny because her character's technically dead. So she has an intellective hour in her, which means she's dead. But it came up with this ring. And she was just like, that is awesome. The ring of mind shielding. And immune to magic that allows other creatures to read your thoughts, determine whether you're lying, know your alignment, or know your creature type. That'll be valuable to her. And this was randomly rolled because she's also a werewolf. I need to take care of all this shit, which I will eventually. But, you know, for now, we're dealing with what we have to deal with. She was so excited. She's like, so my soul goes into that if I die and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you're already dead. Did you forget that thing sitting in your head, which means you're dead? She's like, oh, yeah, that's right. I still love that ring. It's awesome. She was happy with a really dumb thing. And him, I rolled, what was it, 1 through 11 is a +1 weapon. I had kind of planned on giving him a +1 bow because, you know, he keeps getting murdered because he runs up into people all the time. I'm like, here, I have a +1 bow. That's awesome. And so everybody was happy. And this, I rarely, if ever, do that. I rarely will give out magic items just to give them out, but I wanted to throw a bone, you know, if they decided to play. And I'm like, you know what? And if you die, you can re-roll and it'll all be good. And they're all like, well, we're going to roll as drow if that happens. So that would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious. I'm sorry. All the time I spend inside, I still wear a mask outside to help with allergies, and today's a great allergy day, apparently. But yeah, it was fun last night. I'm still watching this stuff loading over here. We've got 18 of 22 downloaded. I'll never have to pull another drow in again. So that's a plus. All right, so let's see if it's pulled in what I need. So yeah, they were very, very happy. And, you know, it's always good when you finish up for the evening and you know, they're like, that was a really fun session. All right, so we're going to drop the Drow Elite here. So like I said, I like that it does that and throws that little hit point marker on the bottom. Makes it easier as a DM for me to track everything. All right, so now that's going to be there because we dropped it. We need an image, and I'm pretty sure I have one. Images for tokens. Open. Let's get rid of this. And then we'll get rid of that. Use that. Do that. And now it looks awesome. Hey, Brimcon, how's it going? I tell you what, I love Foundry. I gotta say it. All right, so we can get rid of the ugly one. Let's make sure this works. We need what? 1, 2. And I know they have names, but their names are Drow Elite Warrior. I really have to figure out what is screwing with my Monster Muncher, because it just sits here and does massive piles of crap over there. It drives me crazy. That's why we're downloading in the background so nobody sees this awful shit that's happening on my other window. But that takes care of the drow there. You don't use the munchers? The muncher works great if I think when I imported this into, because I use Forge VTT just for security, so people aren't logging directly into my computer. And when I uploaded there, something happened where the muncher will look like it's pulling the same thing in like 15, 20 times. It's not, it's just in there once, but it takes forever for that crap to clear from my screen. But I'll be honest, I like the muncher. I like the new downloader for their characters and stuff. I always set up the campaign on, bug test modules. And I think I've got to go in and look at my directory. This usually happens if you have a space in your directory name. And I've got to figure out where it's sitting for it to keep doing this, where it keeps saying file uploaded to your assets library successfully. And I just have this massive wave of messages for 22 monsters, and it shouldn't be happening. But, I've talked about this before. I moved over to Foundry because I got so pissed off with Fantasy Grounds when it went to, what is it now? Whatever the new name of the new Fantasy Grounds is. Version 3. Whatever the hell it is. I don't care. But when I would hit on a monster and it would lay there and freeze for 2 minutes. Yeah, Unity. I fucking hate Unity. It killed me. And this was going on. It made it unplayable. I was running 3 groups, or was it 4 groups at the time when all this stuff was going on, when it was driving me insane. And it was totally unplayable. And then I went back to normal Fantasy Grounds. I'm like, you know what? Because we were playing this, I wanted to create my own maps because they were just using the black and white maps. It looked like shit. It was 10 by 10 squares. I was tired of messing with it. I found the mapping program that I use, which is Dungeon Draft, and then kind of backstepped my way in, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could pull these maps directly into Foundry. Walls, doors, everything come in, line of sight automatically taken care of. I was just like, this is awesome. So, $50 for Foundry, $20 for Dungeon Draft. I was done. And the other thing that sold me on it is the fact that I already buy all the books in D&D Beyond, right? So I'm able to import that stuff in, use D&D Beyond, pull characters in that my players set up, and it just makes everything easy. So like the $50 that I spent on Foundry was the best $50 I've spent for gaming so far. All right. So what's going on here? So this must be I really hate it when these modules come over like this, but that's fine. Um, they must be hiding up here. Let's see. Dry land gently rises, so that's the dry land. Um, and they're behind these rocks. And unfortunately, the rocks didn't translate over because I was using something different with the inside the map. I've started doing my maps totally differently, and they're hidden. Now the maps look nicer. I don't have this shit, and I can set stuff up. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna set terrain here. So let's do that. Let's see. There's that. Terrain walls. So that's our rocks. That'll take care of the terrain. Easy peasy. Yeah, I don't think Foundry's probably never going to be able to pull the stuff from Roll20. Now, Roll20 has had some things where you were still able to pull your stuff in from D&D Beyond. I forget what the module name is, but I always played in person anyway, and I would use Fantasy Grounds a lot of times so that I didn't have to roll out a map, throw miniatures down. I got tired of carrying a bunch of shit. So, I would end up putting on my laptop, use the 27-inch monitor that I have behind me on that desk, take it with me to the game store. And if we had people come over, I'd put it on the end of the table, and we would just, at the game store, I'd just be like, tell me where you're going and what you're doing. I would let them roll dice at the table. I would track damage and everything inside of Fantasy Grounds. It made life easier. My books were inside my laptop. So, you can't complain about that. But now, after COVID, everything's been an online game. I may not go to playing in person again. I don't know. But, it just made life so much easier. You know what? And let's do this. What I need to do is actually fix it inside of this compendium. And then when I drag and drop, it works. Got too much money tied up in Roll20. See, that's, like I said, that's why I was like, you know what? It's no sweat for me because I've already got money tied up in D&D Beyond. You know what I mean? So me being able to use D&D Beyond became another great selling point for me. But I fully understand. I ended up, I had, oh my God, I don't even want to talk about the amount of money I had sunk in Fantasy Grounds, but I got so pissed off, when shit wouldn't work right, that I just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm not dealing with it. You know what I mean? When stuff is just not working and it's actually messing with your game, then it's time. It's time to make a change. I've had hardcovers up until probably the last two books. Um, since I own it online, unless, for some reason I decide to cut my subscription off, which I'll still have access to my books, I don't see a need to carry books anymore. I used to DM a lot of public play events. And, you know, when you're doing that stuff, you're carrying tons and tons of shit. I remember going to, I used to run gaming at Acon here in Dallas. And, you know, you would carry so much stuff. You'd end up with like a hand truck with all the books and crap that you're carrying. Now, with everything electronic, I'm just like, I don't need to worry about it. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I've got some books in here on my shelf beside me. Most of them are out on my bookshelf that has like every book from first edition forward. Um, I mean, I just have way too many books for D&D. All right. All right, so we have nothing there. We need to find room 21. Detention cave. Male Drow warrior chained to one of 3 sets of manacles. I'm pretty sure I put manacles in this room. Where did I put them? One, two, three. We'll put them right there. And I know it's a female. I don't care. It's like we were doing something last night with a. It is. We were doing something last night, and they ran into a stone giant, and it was a girl, and they only have that one stone giant picture for the tokens, and I'm like, you know what? Ignore that. It's a chick. She looks young. None of them spoke stone giant, so I had the mage NPC just cast whatever language spell she had, and she went and talked to them, and they got through that without killing the child. So that was a miracle in and of itself that I kind of helped along because I'm tired of them just killing everything. Of course, the people that were there last night, they don't tend to just kill everything. So that was good. All right, the drow thing is done over here. I know we're going to end up having some stuff that I've got to pull in. But that's 21. The way these numbers jump around in this module drive me nuts. 22. 2 tunnels. Don't need anything because it's already drawn there. 23. Durgard Thrall. Stance guard just inside this entrance. So I'm going to have to click on each one of these little freaking things and determine which one it's talking about. So the arena, there's nothing there. Nothing there. All right, so everything is in here. So there's Spirit Nagas, a Durgar, right? And that takes care of it. Hopefully, I know I have Durgar. I don't know if I have it pulled in here. Yes, I do. Yes! So there's one. You know, I get excited over little things. I say that all the time, but it's true. Spirit Naga. Of course. All right, so I'm going to munch Naga in here. And we can chat while it pulls in every kind of Naga there is. Please only have a few. Let's see. 4. So that'll take a while. here's the thing. The beauty of Foundry, you know, it's like Roll20, and, you know, in the same vein, it's like Fantasy Grounds. If in Fantasy Grounds you buy the Ultimate Edition, you spend $150. Everybody can buy the free version, you know, or get the trial, and they can log into you. It's all on you. You know, if your group decides to pay and help the DM out, that's fine. But you know, I don't do that because then you feel like you've got to share a license, and that violates licensing with Fantasy Grounds, and I just can't do that. So, you know, if I spend my $50 one time, I can create a campaign because I have the books with this, and they go and create their characters. I can import. I have issues with the export because, you know, as you're playing, you start throwing stuff in that's not really in the books. You know, there's stuff that they'll put, you find this item, and I assume that they just, which you can't. They're down here. There's no place they can sell this shit. So they're walking around with like an owl statue worth 50 gold. That's not in the documentation, right? So it screws up my ability to upload those items because they don't exist in the actual books that are converted to online. So that kind of annoys the shit out of me, but it's fine. What I figured out is I can, when they level their character up, I can download everything except inventory items, and it doesn't screw with their inventory. If it used to be, before I had this new thing that downloads, I couldn't tick off certain things. It would download everything from there, and then I'd be like, I hope you remember what you had, because, you know, it's not going to be there anymore. So it's kind of a catch-22. It's awesome because I can download and not worry about the inventory, but I can't upload their stuff and then pull it back down. You know what I mean? It's just a little maddening at times. All right, the Naga should be there. Let's take a look. So we need 2 Spirit Naga. Oh, look, I don't have to create a... And you know what? I said I was going to do something. I didn't do it. Let's do this now. Then we'll drop it over there. Actually, now it's no point because I already dropped it on the map. Watch, it'll be right here. Since that'll be my thing. Honestly, I hope Wizards doesn't do that because they're just going to fuck shit up. You know what I mean? I don't trust them when it comes to that. There it is. I don't like that token that it creates. Let's take a look and see if this is nicer, if we can make it look nicer. No, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. See, I think that'll look better. Let's hide that. We're just going to get rid of that. Let's do this. Let's do that. And okay. Close. Now they look nicer. For some reason, I don't like that default go to close up on the face. It just doesn't look great. Stat room's ready to roll. 27. Yeah, just an alchemist lab. Nothing to look at here. 28. Nada. 29. 2 trolls. I'm hoping I have that in here. I may not have dropped it down, so we're not gonna import unless we have to. We have to. We're gonna do exact name match. Finding data. Just tell me it's done. And processing the troll. And finish. There it is. Now I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do this time. That I don't mind that much, so we'll leave him looking ugly. So we'll drop him here. I'm gonna make sure that this actually did what I wanted it to do. It did. It created that. Now it's permanently set. Put that into the muncher. Done. The munching folder. And like I said, some of these it works for, but like the elementals, it just gives you this weird face blob, and it's like, that doesn't look right. Lurking among the bones. See, there are bones in here. This didn't transition well. And I wish, you know, I'm not going to redo this map because I'm happy with everything except the walls. But, you know, I'm probably being too picky. So let's do the bone naga. See, we click on this and I don't know. I don't like that. I don't think it translates well. So we're going to do this. Do that. Delete. All right, he's there. See, I don't know if you remember D&D Beyond. Before D&D Beyond, but 4th edition, they had that their 4th edition character creator, and that thing was awesome. You paid like, I forget, it was like $5 a month or something like that, and you had access to all the 4th edition books. You didn't have to buy them. You had access to everything. You could go through the builder, build unlimited number of characters, and it was awesome. And then, you know, they got lazy. They decided, let's let somebody else develop this. And we went to this new thing where you have to buy books twice at least. You know, if you want a hardcover, plus on there if you're going to use their digital. And I'm just not a real fan of that. I mean, with virtual tabletops now, the ability to buy your books digitally through them, if you can import them into whatever your virtual tabletop, it's invaluable. You know, like I said, it's awesome not having to carry a bag of books. And Pureblood's almost there. There it is. Oh, come on. There we go. What just happened? How many purebloods did it import? I'm curious. It did one. I'm assuming this is the one that works. What is this one? All right, so we've got how many? Oh, so the characters will become... That's going to be fucked up. I'll have to figure out how we're going to do that. And then... we need a Spirit Naga there. And this one has 35 hit points. So that's all we need there. And it's still downloading those Yuan Tea there. They finally finished. There were 13 of them. So that's 33. Bones. 34. There's a gate. Nothing else is there. 35. There's a trap. Pressure plate under the water. So we're going to put the trap right there. And that's done. I'll be honest, Larpstrong. I mean, saying about learning anything new, Foundry was so freaking easy to mess with and learn. It was ridiculous. So width of the cave entrance needs to be pretty big. Seven. There we go. 38. All right, so I think this is just a general description. Let's see, 39. That's what we need. So right in this area. Eight bullywugs. One. And three giant frogs. Do we have that? We have giant toads. Oh. Oh my God, that's so awful. You see what I mean? They just come in on the frog eye. It's like, really? Until that goes away, then it should be there. They're not that giant, are they? Not like those toads. Three giant frogs. What's going on here? So the bottom bullywog looks like that. The top bullywog looks like that. So we're going to get rid of this one. Let's count them out. Somehow I dragged in a couple of those. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. Thing to remember with these guys, they do have like natural camouflage. So what I would normally do is set them to invisible, and they may or may not be seen. We'll see what I decide to do when we play, but I mean, those were actually the specific instructions on the entrance over here with these guys. So that's why those guys are dimmed down. They're running off grabbing all their buddies now. All right, 40. There's a statue, nothing else. 41. So we need Torbit. See if we have Torbit. I'm not feeling it. Let's see if we can munch Torbit. If he shows up here, so he's just another bullywog. Torbit, exact name match, and munch. There's Torbit. All right, so Torbit needs a picture. So he has Assassinate. That's awesome. All right, so we need to fix Torbit. I'm going to take a look. You'd figure since this guy's like fancy bullywug, somebody would have had a picture of him. Guess we'll have to use just standard bullywug picture. Let's take a look. Where's this directory? My tokens, Foundry tokens. Wait for that to save. Between the two middle statues, ramp rises. King of the Black Tongues is not for his devotion to Kuketh. All right, so there's something else up in that room. So I think we're going to put him there. We're going to hide him, and he'll assassinate somebody. And he's on the board, so we're good. All right, so this room, two Yuan Ti abominations. I guess it's a good thing we imported all those things because we're running into more stuff. We'll get rid of this. Wait for it to say it's saved, and then we'll drop them. So 42, let's see. Mud cake statue. Dried mud has been heaped in the large winged snake in the north, giving vaguely frog-like appearance. Stone altar. Any character who inspects the altar check and succeeds on a perception check. One of the altar's carvings there's a button carved to look like a serpent's eye. If the button is pressed, a secret compartment in the north side of the altar opens. Inside the compartment is this. The red taper is a candle dedicated to Seth, the evil, whatever. If the candle is removed from the altar by a creature that is not a Yuan Ti, these things will pop up. So I think what I'll do is, you know what? I'm just going to put them here. Invisible. Let's see what the final room is. Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. That was 42. We're looking for 43. There it is. $25 bullywogs. Jesus. 25 freaking bullywogs. All right, this is what we're going to do. Let's just start dropping. 1 and counting. That's a lot of freaking bullywogs. 6 giant frogs. We need those, don't we? That is, that's a lot of stuff. This would be a good place for a meteor swarm. Done and done. You'd need several fireballs in here. So 43. 44. A Hydra. And there's a death slod. Don't think we have that in here, but we might have that over here. First, let's look for the Hydra. Nope. I'm pretty sure that this is just going to be one giant battle here, and it may not go well for the group. Death slod. You know what? We're going to do this because let's look at the description here. So here's our Hydra. See, that just doesn't cut it. You can't even tell what that is. So no. I mean, a lot of these RPGs don't really do large battles well. So this is how we're going to handle the death slot. We're going to do this. We're going to drop that here, right? So that's going to give us death slot. Then we're going to do this. Duplicate. And we're going to give it a name. As a name won't mean anything to the players, right? And he looks like a bullywog. So there he is. Then we need to do this. Actually, this is what we're going to do. And then, mid-combat, if he changes to his death slot form, we can just delete that, and there's the death slot. So he'll start off like this. And then we can real quick change it. All right, so that room's prepped. Yeah, we set the secret door up there. I was just making sure of that. Collected by the bullywogs. So I need... Oh, did I bring that thing in to be able to do this? Let's see. I'm going to go over here and make sure I've got, I need to activate a module. We're getting close to having this level done too. A magic item! So that can't even go to their person that needs it. All right, let's see if this fixed that. There we go. See, that's that one module. It's like a loot sheet or something. It is awesome. So 56 platinum, 2,417 gold, 540 silver. Why is it not letting me put the stuff down here now? See, before, let me create stuff down here. See if I can drag and drop. Nope. That's true, but they just got a bag of holding. And somebody did something stupid a while back, which triggered one of those gates, and it destroyed all non-magical items, valuable items like gold, gems, stuff like that. So most of them have no money now. It's kind of funny. So what is going on? Loot items. Let me see if there's another module here that I've been using. This update that happened, I mean, it wasn't just yesterday. I haven't updated in a while. It went from like 7.9 to 8.6. It was a massive freaking update. It screwed up a few things. Let's look at pickup sticks. I think that'll let me do it. How's it going, Talmaru? Yeah. There was something buggy going on last night with combat. And I just had to be like, whatever. See, right there. it's not letting me do what I need to do. I'm going to take a look at something. This is why we have pickup sticks too, because sometimes that'll take care of the issues. Unless this has become dead. We'll see. This is compatible with Foundry 7.5 to 7.8. I think that's a dead project. Yeah, it's a dead project. We can pull that off, I guess. So, what about Loot Sheet NPC 5e? That's another one. I think that's dead in the water too. Trying to use map tool. Yeah, Foundry is so freaking easy to use. The only issue happens, I think sometimes, developers will sheet. That didn't work. So let's kill that. We're going to play with this and see if we can make it work again. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. What the fuck? See, even that stuff, it's not... Let's try this. See if we can drop that in here. There we go. It's fixed. All right, so let's get rid of that. We just had to drop an item in and then it creates an items list. It didn't used to do that. There are worse problems to have. We can always figure it out. And then this is the problem that I ended up having. I'm going to drop this item on here from this room. And what I use a thing called, things can always get worse is correct. But I use a thing called the was it D&D Beyond Updater, I think it is, and it allows me to pull down characters and push characters back up as long as you have nothing but items that are actually in the books, which anything in the books is going to have this kind of stuff, money, gold, stuff like that. It's not a problem, but this is going to create a problem. The minute we create this, it means I cannot upload and update, you know, back and forth between the two. We'll give it weight of 1. And I'm not going to worry about giving it a picture. And there is the gold. And I always invisible that stuff after they search the room. There is, but homebrew items screw that up. It doesn't like it. So it messes up the works. So what I do is I have them go back to D&D Beyond when they level up. I tell them do not buy anything in D&D Beyond because I'm not importing the items. If there's something you get when you're in town or whatever, we'll do that inside of Foundry. This way, all I do is I pull down new spells, character stats, stuff like that. Inventory items like gold and everything else gets done inside of Foundry. I tick that off. That doesn't get downloaded on an update. And that's taking care of any issues with how I import stuff in. All right, so 48. So this is actually 22A. There's 6 giant frogs and 4 bullywogs. And I don't consider, you know, I don't do homebrew items inside of the campaign. If it's not in the books, you're not going to get it. And treasure is not a homebrew item. It's just, you know, something that they're supposed to be able to get. And it's stupid because I have characters or players that they may get a really valuable item, but they're like, one of them will be like, that's really pretty. I want to keep it. So as long as the other characters don't give a shit, they have this stupid piece of jewelry or comb or brush or whatever forever on their character sheet because it doesn't get sold and split into gold like groups would normally do. And that's fine. If they want to walk around brushing their hair in a swamp with a 1,000 gold piece brush, go for it. Go for it. All right, so I need 6 giant frogs. It's like the dwarf. You find a fancy mug. I need that. All right, have the fancy mug. Go for it. And then we know looters are going to loot. That is 100% true. Oh, tell me I have carrion crawlers. Just tell me. I think I do. Oh! All right, let's do this. I'm doing the importing on another screen. I do, and that's what I'm importing directly from. They will always find a use for that dwarven mug. That is correct. So there are 4 of these up there. Let's fix the token first. Why did that come in as loot? See, I hate that. Just use that. The tidy sheet. I've messed with using other sheets. I don't want to confuse some of my players. If you know what I mean. How am I going to fit 4 carrion crawlers up there? That's what I want to know. Exactly. It's always my Mac users. I mean, last night, the one Mac user couldn't target anything. And targeting is, you know, it's so stupid easy. And he hasn't had a problem. And then last night, for some reason, he couldn't target anything. And I'll show you what he was doing. You see, I keep this up here. The HUD, because it gives you the attacks and everything. I had it off. So they were having to do this. Where are the characters? Here's the culprit right here. It's always the halfling, isn't it? But let's just drop something down here, right? So there's the carrion crawler. Because I didn't have the HUD up, which they're all used to doing, because everything got turned off, and I didn't realize I had this massive update, and I did it like 20 minutes before game time. And, you know, instead of him coming in and targeting, you know, going here and shooting, he was, you know, going into his sheet. And let's be blunt here. You know, he's doing that and then clicking this instead of clicking the little die. And he's like, oh, I didn't know that picture turns into a die. I'm like, yeah, maybe you should hover over that and click it. But every time he rolled, he's sitting there doing this. He's doing standard roll. This wasn't coming up, and I don't know why. And then, you know, none of this was coming up to do his attacks. So it would roll an attack, and then I had to manually take care of damage and be checking on AC and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have to update this to be able to show, I think I can set it to show AC. I'm gonna have to fuck with the settings. I don't think it. See, right now, it won't track more than one thing at a time. Let's see, attribute bars. Yeah. So I like to be watching their hit points here for the players if I decide to be kind and not kill them. But it was driving me nuts. Everybody else was getting it right. And, finally, click on the dice. What do you mean? Click on the dice. I mean, put it over the picture of the bow, click on the die, that pops, and there you go. How hard is it? It's driving me nuts. Monk's token bar. Yeah, MIDI QOL did bork. I think I figured it out because now it's working. I went in and played with the settings this morning. But man, these updates can kill you. There was one update a while back that made it unplayable and we couldn't play that night because of an update. A lot of times I'll go in, I'll update, and I don't do full testing. I'll just trust that it works. And that's always a bad idea. Well, I haven't the thing is, like, I hadn't updated. I'm running right now on Foundry VTT. And I had not updated from 7.9, obviously, in a while, right? So I saw the 8.6 and I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. And then I converted everything over. I thought I had clicked all the modules that I needed. I forgot about the HUD. I didn't go into MIDI and make sure that worked. And made for some fun. I mean, I'll usually update midday. While I'm streaming, if I'm looking over here midday on a Wednesday, while I'm mapping, it usually means I'm doing updates for my night's game, which is probably bad. But I mean, there was all this stuff between 7.9 and 8.6 that I never did. Broke half the email users. That's always good. That makes everybody happy. Wow. Look at this. I think this is the last room. Could it be? So we need 4 giant toads. I like when they put the really big things in the smaller areas. Here we go. 1, 2. Where do I want? 3, 4. And it says these guys are sitting outside. These are the fronts, I guess. But these guys are not going to be here. Let's be honest. They're compatriots that were over in that other room. We're going to... These guys, I'm going to assume these are all going to come down here and wait for them to kill them. Two giant toads. All right. I don't know why I did 4. We're going to do... Let's get rid of this and this. That's better. Unbelievable. I guess we need to check treasure for the rooms. Let's see. This is treasure. Sure, give me a minute. Let me drop treasure in this room. There's a chest. Oh, that's right. I screwed up there. Let's get rid of that. And let's fix the mother chest. You know what I should do? Let's throw something stupid in there, so it always has the items tab ready to rock and roll. Because a lot of times that's kind of the problem. You know, you're trying to... all the lootable items are things that aren't even in the items list. So let's give the treasure chest an abacus, and we'll delete it after we add stuff. I think that is that's the answer to our treasure woes for the time being. All right, so Candle of Invocation. I should have all that because I know I did a massive download, pulled every item in. Candle of Invocation, and no more abacus. Exactly. And that'll go... You know what? I'll put it in the back corner. I believe that's all the treasure. I really haven't been checking the rooms for treasure as we've gone along. That's a swarm of insects. I know there's a 550 gold. So I do need to put that there, don't I? We're going to put that in the wall. No treasure. Characters can find spell book. I know I had something set up for spell books. No, I don't. First game on the 5th. Now, are you running it? Playing? I'm assuming your DM has run on Foundry before. let's do this. See, what I always do when I get new players coming in, you know, like before we actually play, like the week before, we'll have session 0, we'll create characters, and then I have a generic combat map on a test server, and I'll pull them into that, and I've got combat set up, and I teach them how to use Foundry inside of that on session 0. And I found that to be really helpful, especially if they're coming from another system, and then they can go in. It's not going to be a matter of first time we play, first combat. Wait, how do I attack? How do I target? How do I do this? How do I do that? I sit there, spend a couple hours, and by the time we're done, they're attacking, casting, shooting, killing, all that good stuff, making saves, and life is good. You know what I mean? All right, Brimcon. So I'm going to go into game settings. Let's take a look. So that's what I have on my MIDI QOL for the bass start. And then on my workflow, but yeah, that's once I got Foundry, that was the first thing I did. I created a little training map. I went in and worked on it myself, figuring out all the ins and outs on combat, and then brought my players in. I'm like, this is what we're going to use. It wasn't a matter, and I don't go, would you like to change? I'm like, this is what we're going to use, because once I'm committed, I've set up, that's what we're going to do. And it really was much easier. After we went through our training session, everybody's like, hey, it works better than what we had, let's go for it. And even though they would have said, well, we kind of like the other more, I'd be like, too bad, this is what we're using. I'm not big on, you know, there could be some democracy inside of your campaign, but when it comes to if you're running, you need to be comfortable with the setup and preparation side because you put so much time into it. That's totally your decision. It's not the players. And I know players aren't going to want to hear that, but I mean, I do so much work, right? When it comes to prep, a lot of times I'm not streaming some of the prep that I'm doing. So, I mean, just for map preparation, probably 10, 15 hours. Then another couple of hours setting up all the encounters so it's ready to roll on my levels. Making sure lighting is on, everything is prepped. If I have a tool that makes it easier for me, that's not their decision. And I'm like I said, I am sure that there would be players who would be bent out of shape. They're not going to want to play because they have a one that they like. It doesn't matter. I have to be able to run the game and be comfortable. Well, see, players like that won't play with me because it's not an option for them to make that determination. You know what I mean? It's just not their choice. It's their choice of whether they want to play with me using the tools that I use. And in all honesty, I'm too fucking old to deal with other people's children's bad behavior. Regardless of how old they are. Oh, this is a treasure chest we need to fill too. Oh, you can always just kill that player. I mean, I had a player that we were at the point where my table was going to kill him. And I ended up, because, you know, he decided it was a good time to get in an argument during the insurrection. And I'm like, you need to cut that shit right now. Nobody needs to hear it. We're here to play D&D. And he wouldn't stop. And I said, if you don't shut up, I'm going to permanently mute you in Discord. And then I just banned him because he wouldn't stop. So he was done. If you can't play and not act like a jackass, then done. And don't sit there. If you're a veteran who took an oath to defend the Constitution, and say that the assholes storming the Capitol were patriots, because they weren't. They were insurrectionists. That really infuriated me. Talmaru, thank you for the follow. It's greatly appreciated. Hope you're having an awesome day. So we need the Rod of Rulership. Is there anything else? Money. So let's start with money. But yeah. And when we're playing D&D, that's not a time to talk that shit. Abacus in one of the chests. Spell scroll of modify memory. I think I'm going to have to create the scroll. Let's take a look. Come on. Do it. I think I'm going to have to create it. That is cruel. And then we need the Rod of Rulership. We got to have that. Come on. Thank you. Rod of Rulership. Done. We put the gold, everything in there. That just for the... We'll do that just for you. For shits and giggles, we'll leave an abacus in there. Somebody is really going to want that abacus too. I guarantee it. This is the Naga of accounting here. I thought... Let me look something up. I don't think this is going to do it. Okay, let's try that. Hopefully it'll work, but I don't think it will. We're going to see if Spellbook Master takes care of my spellbook woes, because we do have spellbook woes. Let's be honest. There's so many spellbooks in here. The worst one, though, was, oh my god, the level above, what was it, Madgoth's Castle. He had a desk and chairs made of spellbooks from all the wizards that he had killed. So they broke that apart, random rolled how many spellbooks there were, and then every spellbook had random spellbook lows, had random spells in it. So I found a site and I was able to, randomly select spells that way. Created the spell books, threw them up in Discord, and I'm like, everybody, pick which ones you want. Remember, you have to take the time, have the materials, all that kind of stuff, copy it over. If you don't, then you're shit out of luck. But man, putting those spell books together was just an actual pain in the ass. This, it looks like, oh, I actually have it installed? Okay. I might have to activate it. Let's take a look. See, I got it, and I didn't realize when I got it that it'll create a spell book from the NPC that is holding the spell book, right? These were just create a bunch of spell books, and it ended up being like a dozen of those things I had to make. All I did too was gave, level, spell name, and I'm like, you have to look the shit up when you decide to freaking take the time to copy it over to your own spell book. All right. Let's do it over here. Manage modules. Let's see if Spellbook Master is here. There it is. Yeah. Spellbooks are the worst. But if this module works, I might actually be happy about it. So I know that was what, down here? I think this is... I think we're going to, let's take a look at the description here. We might put something here other than mage. Lawful evil human mage. So let's go here. See, these things drive me a little nuts. You have a named mage, but they don't create the mage. I guess that's fine. But we're going to go ahead and import mage to this, and then do what we did before and do a duplicate. So muncher, monster, mage. they all have the same spell book, so it'll be nice to have that. All right, fiddling with the SRD data. I love the waiting game. I don't know that. I mean, you really couldn't do that since every. I mean, the whole thing with spell books is every mage has their own shorthand, and that's why it takes time for you to transcribe it over, and it costs so much money to do. You're trying to really interpret their shorthand, copy the spell, and hope that it works. Because you have to roll to do it too. You might screw up. So I mean, I don't make things super easy on the players. They gotta do it right. Yeah, it is. It's like code. You never know how crazy the coder is that wrote the shit that you're trying to look at and figure out why did they put that there. All right, so the mage is imported. Yeah, instead of giving it a proper name so you know what you're looking at, that's the best. What the fuck? Did it fuck all of these things up that I dropped up here? I guess it's just the new ones are coming in screwed up. So that's just a regular mage's spell book, and then we can do this. Oh, this is like we won the lottery. Look at this shit. So it just created the spell book. I could just give that to somebody and be like, look, this is what the spells are. Don't even ask me. What this does, it pulls everything over that they learned. That's fine. I am fine with that. You know, it just made my life easier. Come on, where are the spells? There it is. So let's pull this over here. Of course, this is spell book. We need animate dead. Just drop it. What just happened? All right, let's see. I think we're going to have to do that, right? And then we're going to have to, we'll try it with one. So animate dead worked. And then glyph of warding. It's just coming over with the location. So glyph of warding. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, little things like that, Brimcon. You know what? I don't even care if the cantrips are in there or not. I'm gonna take advantage of it. Will pull the known spells that they have in there, and I don't have to create a spell book anymore off an NPC. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll pull it up. Hold on a second. So configure. I just got very excited about that. So there's my MIDI. Enable roll support, blah, blah, blah. I'm fine with all that stuff. Tidy game settings. Is that another module? I have cautious DM in there anyway, and I think that allows me to do it. I don't know why I did that. All right, so there's my GM. I mean, for myself, I always prefer that well, I mean, I have auto roll damage after attack hits, but it's still after it hits, it still pops up the thing and asks, was it a normal or critical? So I'm not that worried about that. The players like to roll their own damage, so I don't really. Again, it pops up the little thing on the screen, normal or critical. So it does do crits automatically. So what do I need to do? Auto fast forward damage as well. Yeah, we'll just leave it for that. And then here's the workflow. I like the auto target on template draw. It lets them see as they're placing the template. Where's the merge rolls on one card? Is that pretty much it? My Mac users will never do anything advanced. Ever. Ever. I'm going to pull pickup sticks off too. I had that before and you know, they never got the idea of doing that. So that's why I brought this in so that they could just go in and do their attacks using the HUD. You know, when I have to ask for like a save or something, they just bam, click it, and it rolls, and it's made life easier. I'll take a look at that. See, I have another targeting thing in there where I just do Alt left click and it targets. Yeah, something like that. Which one is it? It is... Yeah, easy target. Alright, so I really don't need to do this, but I'm gonna do it. We're gonna make this a named mage. So what smart target shows the portraits of who's targeting? For players target just by left clicking a non-owned token. Okay, we'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Oh, let's just pick a mage. Pick a mage. A lot of these are just the ones that players wanted for their characters, but I'm going to use, if I can find a mage in here. There you go. Not Gandalf. That'll confuse the party. Good old not Gandalf. So how's it going, Tiny? All right, so now we need to create the chest, right? Because we know there is treasure in here. Bound in human flesh. So he's a dick. that behind the desk. And that's done. I'm thrilled with that spellbook thing, though. No treasure. And that's all going all the way back to there. No treasure. What's up here? They got that treasure last night. Nothing. We're going to go through here just for the hell of it to make sure we have all the treasure in here. Fill on a piece of jade. Oh, I don't know if they have this. I think they do. So I need to create this. I'm just going to make a note there like that. That takes care of that. So I'm going to take a look. They may or may not have taken that. I'm not sure. If they didn't, they could be out of luck. No treasure. We're just double checking because once the treasure's done, we have populated out this level. No treasure. I know we did the spell scroll down here, so that's taken care of. We know there's nothing there. There's a dude there. I think we've got everything. Right here. We're getting real close. So it's a flawed emerald. $250. The halfling's going to drown. He's less than 4 feet tall. My group laughed because one of the things I thought was the funniest thing I ever got to do was disintegrate a gnome. I was like, you know what? That's something I can mark off my bucket list. I've disintegrated a gnome. I think that's it. That was the last bit of treasure we needed to place. So this level is ready to kill my party. This is a busy zone. And after they get done getting the shit beat out of them here, they walk up here and there's that. Just ready to rip them to pieces. It's going to be awesome. So it starts with 5 heads. That's what's going to confuse them. The opportunity attacks. Ten-foot reach. That's going to be fun. King Rich, how's it going? Potion of spider climbing. I'm sure that was a confused party. Well, you know what? I have something turned off in here that I can turn on. Because the boys are in here. Oh my god. Well, my party, I got a paladin in my party that just goes rushing down hallways, and he's walked into no less than 2 gelatinous cubes. Two. Lost his armor both times. It was funny as hell, too. At least for me. The party also found it amusing, but, you know. Paladins generally don't find it amusing when they lose their shit. So, treasure in here. We're done. I can't believe we finished populating. Yeah. You've always got to have one of those players. I mean, I had the one player that I ended up tossing from the table. In Tomb of Annihilation, you know, you had those stub characters that if you died, you had to take. He used all of them. That's how many times he died. So he died twice in 5 minutes to the same thing. Bad players can make a DM's day sometimes. Let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, when you've got somebody that dies to something, and then you're like, you know what, I don't even feel like fucking around. Here's your next character. And they're like, okay, I walk in the room, and they touch the same thing, fail, and die immediately again. It's like, what is wrong with you? That is definitely some of the dumbest stuff I've ever seen. Oh, that was in Tomb. What the hell was it? It was an item that if you touch it, it petrified you. So, you know, I didn't let him come back in a third time because it would just have been like a group of guys like this, all fucking touching the thing. And it's like, dude, why would you do that? All right, let's do this. I mean, this guy died so many times. He died to exhaustion. There's nothing he didn't die to. You know, he drowned in the room that filled with water because he failed all his checks and couldn't get out because he wasn't smart enough to get out. He just died. I mean, what was he throwing at you? I mean, let's be honest. Bad DMs are going to do what bad DMs do. See, I've generally had an issue with homebrew stuff a lot of times because quite often, you know, they'll create either items or spells that are their pet things that are really awesome, and it really ends up being just something where they can show off how easy it is to kill the players, right? Now we had when I was playing first edition, I played with one of my friends. He had this character. All he would do is talk about this character that he's had for years. Oh, that's all he could talk about, right? So, and this ends up being the big guy in the fucking campaign that you're dealing with. So, much to his chagrin, and I mean, he had a fucking fit. He had this sword that only worked if you had psionics, which I had rolled a 20 and then rolled a perfect 100 on psionics back in the day. So I had one thing that met its requirement. And then you had to have certain abilities, and I happened to have rolled those, right? And I happened to be an assassin at level 15 by the time we got to this guy. I fucking assassinated him with the perfect roll there. And he lost his shit because I killed his guy. I took his super special sword that let me rule the whole fucking city because he made it so overpowered. And I'm like, that's why you don't make that kind of shit. Because the right player is going to get lucky and come in and kill your fucking pet character. All right. So let's flip over to this. Did it flip? There, now it flipped. Exactly. How's it going, Violet? Yeah, I laughed my ass off that night. You know, one of the worst DMs I ever played with. And needless to say, it was no loss that we didn't play with him again. All right, let me pull this out of the way. So, I am very happy we got that gun done. Pretty good? Glad to hear it. I mean, there's enough content in the book if you want to kill players that you can kill players without doing that. You know what I mean? You don't have to bring out or create any bigger guns than necessary. And if you want to create something level appropriate, you look at the fucking spells at that level and you don't go above like whatever the worst one is. But, you know, it's like there are too many DMs that think that it's the me show. You know, you're all here for me. And they're here to play with you because they might enjoy how you run the game, or they think they're going to enjoy how you run the game. Let's be blunt here. And then they actually get into the game and they're like, wait a minute, this guy's a fucking douche. Why am I even here? I mean, I haven't done homebrew content in forever. Being a public play DM, where I was always running stuff for Adventures League, expeditions, encounters, everything since 4th edition, and sometimes running like Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. No time for that. You know what I mean? That's one of the best quotes too that I ever saw was somebody asked Mike Merles why he made dual wielding the way it was, and he said, "Well, I didn't want anybody rolling more than a D6 with both hands," and They're like, can you explain that? And he goes, no, I don't do math. A fucking game designer that doesn't do math. I fucking hate Mike Merles after the bullshit that I've heard him say over the years. Oh, you'd have to talk to Perkins. He's the guy that does that. It's like, come on, dude. You're getting paid the money to be the lead game designer. Act like one. All right. So I'm trying to find... Where is it? Looking at my reference. I think yesterday I said I finished everything. I just have to lay down all the stuff on the tables and everything. All right. So I think we determined that these rooms on this side were done. Let's throw some mugs and stuff on the bar. First, let's start with mug. Of course, it brings up rug. Set that as over. Why is it doing that? Layers, that's why. There you go. This guy's a lefty. Nobody trusts him. Poor lefty, that's right. We'll give this guy a sausage. That's all he gets. No fork or knife. All right, so we're going to grab some mugs and just start throwing them around the room randomly. Doesn't have to be pretty. Give somebody some cheese. Would you like some cheese with your wine, sir? Yep. anything that throws you in any type of minority is going to give you a problem. You know, like being left-handed. I don't know why I just decided we needed to make the Yawning portal. And this was our biggest design decision here, making the portal itself. The parallax plugin? No, I haven't seen that. It's like, how busy do we want to make this? Well, the way I ended up doing this, I gave it a, I threw water in here. I threw the water effect, and then I did like light, and I gave it a much broader radius than normal, and left the black down there, so it gives the look of depth. So I'm not totally unhappy with it. I'm always experimenting with how I can, you know, mess with things like the water effect and all this other stuff to, you know, get things to kind of look the way I want them to. And sometimes you just got to get creative. A lot of times, that's the thing. A lot of times you go there and it's like, I can't find what I want, so you figure out some silly way to make it work. They ordered a whole pie. Everybody's like, dude, you can't eat that whole pie. And he's like, you want to bet? So tables are starting to look like they're being used. Let's go to these things now. I mean, I kind of look at some of this like you know, you're coming in here to sit down and talk to the dude and fight the demon or whatever that pops out of the fucking pit. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Somebody's probably deaf after that one. Let's take a look. The maker of it. I guess it kind of works. All right. Honestly, finishing off a tavern is not that horrible. Just a whole lot of mugs and some food and stuff. I don't know how worried I'm going to be about all of these tables. Hey, Brimcon. We finished up, so we're just finishing up our Yawning portal map. Shazbot. I tell you what, I tend to get engrossed in my maps for some reason. I admit it. Pie for everybody. Tell you what, placing this makes me want to go out and get some T-bones and put them on the grill. All right, I'd say we'll throw a plate or two down here. I think we might be done this map. Let's take a look. Put stuff on the bar. Maybe another plate. Let's make this plate a pile of meat. He believes in nothing green on his plate. That's right, I wanted to put something there to cover that line. Then we just need to populate this with townsfolk, NPCs, and a few of the things that are in Yawning Portal when we get in there. I think it's done. Doesn't look too bad. I want to test for light leaks. Yesterday we were setting doors in, and I made the mistake of setting one or two in that allowed light, so making sure that's not going to happen. All right, I think it's clean, and we're done. I really didn't anticipate being done that quickly, but we're done. And we did most of the work yesterday in the 5 hours that we built this. But this isn't a massive map either, like some of these that we've been building. And I intentionally built this without using one of the walls because you don't want to block line of sight. Obviously, they're watching you get lowered down in there. That's what they're all there for, to watch you go down and your dead body come back up. So I mean, all told, I guess we spent maybe 5.5, 6 hours on this map. It's not a big map. What is it? It's 32 by 23. It's nothing like these ones we've been building that are like 80 by 115 with 50 rooms in them. So, yeah, this one was much easier to work with. You know what? We're going to save this and call that done. I think like the original map had, you know, people sit at the table, some waitresses, had the thing coming out of the hole that you were about to fight. But that'll all get placed using NPCs in the virtual tabletop. But we're good. I am not unhappy with it. You know, nobody will ever hear me say I'm thrilled with it. But we're good. So let's save this thing. And export it. So let's figure this out real quick. I think I'm going to do it so it's a little bit bigger. So if we do it at 200 pixels, it'll come out at 6400 by 4600. So still be below the 8,192 pixel limit on some of the integrated graphics on these computers. And that's what we're always trying to be under. Close enough for government work. Exactly. So I think we're going to do it at 200 pixels, and that will make it so that the textures are all... I mean, everything should be a lot more clear. So I think that's what we'll do. We're going to export it at 200 pixels. Site source on what? The 8192 pixel limit? That would be the source of 2 Mac users who have, what, HD 6000 graphics built into their Macs and cannot view the textures on any map that I've made above that. So I always try to keep every map that I make below 8,192 pixels in either horizontal or vertical. Otherwise, all they're going to see is, they don't even see the walls. They see, you know, the line of sight happening. They'll see the creatures you put in there, but they won't see textures. They won't see walls. They won't see doors. They see black and white. And it's not pretty at all. And it'll even give them the thing saying this exceeds 8,192 pixels notice. And, you know, I used to build my maps huge, not give a shit. And, you know, you take all this time to build a map. You want your players to see what they're playing. So I had to stop doing it that way. So now I just do it at 100 normally on those big maps. Smaller maps, if I can get away with 200 so it's more clear, then I will. And, you know, then they'll have a nice looking map. Oh, wait a minute. We're not done. We ignored the exterior. I'm not real worried about the exterior, but we need stuff outside there. So, I'll tell you what, let's just do this. Yeah, and that's just it. You don't... I think a lot of times, you know, if somebody's making a map, they don't think about little things like that. You know what I mean? They don't go, oh, well, some people might not be able to view this, and then be like, well, let's make it so they can. They're just like, I want it to be big and pretty, and fuck them. I've gone out of my way with mapping now to make it so that they're usable by anybody that comes into my game. And if I put these out there, if you dig the map and want to use it in your game, I don't give a shit. It's free on my Patreon. And the only reason I use Patreon is because I can store all this shit for free. So, but it negates the idea of spending all that time working on a map to make something no one can see if they don't have, and everybody doesn't have a great computer. They just don't. And you have to take that into account. You can't go, oh, fucking peasant, fuck you. You want the people to be able to play and enjoy the time they're playing. You know, you make it usable. Now you can, like I use Forge to host my game. And the Forge does let me, if I were to put a giant map in there, it allows me to downscale it so that somebody without a good computer can see it. Now it does downscale it, so when you zoom in on the map, it does get quite pixelated, but yep. So you got to take all that into account. And I was able to use some of my big maps now that I went to using the Forge because I set it to downscale on the ones that need to be downscaled. But I feel like it's just common courtesy to go ahead and make it usable for people. I mean, it's not that big a deal to just, do it right. At one point, I did. And I ended up cutting up one of the maps, and I didn't even realize that when I made it, a lot of the maps that I do for Mad Mage, I will do it at a scale where it still uses the 10-foot grid that the original Wizards map has. But I do it so that it's at 100, and then you can go in, there's a grid tool, and you can create the grid so it goes to 50, so that 10 by 10 becomes 4 5 by 5s. And I can take a map that has the 10 by 10, make it under that 8192 pixel limit, throw it in there, and it'll work. It will be a little pixelated, but it's not an issue. I ended up doing that with, and I redid one of the maps that I broke into quadrants. Somebody was using it, and I didn't like. It was one of my earlier maps using Dungeon Draft, so it was all original assets and stuff. We didn't have nicer textures and all to use. And I redid it so it was one map. And honestly, I'm much happier because it has nicer textures. It looks better. It's just, in my opinion, it's the way the map should be. I mean, I set it so that if I don't activate it, it's not loading. Now I think we're done. That was a very minor detail, but we needed it. Well, I mean, you've got a ton of stuff that you can get as far as assets. I'll go in and do a couple of Patreons for some of the asset makers, just because. But it does make life simple, and the fact that the walls translate directly into Foundry, it just makes things so much easier once you start running. The only thing you have to remember is, like what I just did there, if I would have hit save with that trough up there, I'd have a random trough saved on the map. And then there's another tool that I use. I'll pull down the original map from like Mad Mage, the black and white map. Then I'll pop it into, let me close that out. I'll pop it into a tool that I use called Map Align, which is this. What this lets me do, here, let's do that. I can bring in So like here's one of the original maps. It has, they waste so much space on there, right? For some reason, my Elgato, the Stream Deck, is just saying, fuck you, I'm not going to work. There. So, like, here's the original map. I'm not going to pull it up inside of here, but you can see there is a lot of blank space. So that creates a map that's not going to be the 8,190 pixel limits. In fact, what it created, I ended up doing it at 50 pixels. I created the grid, so they were 5 feet by 5 feet. Came out at 133 by 176. That's not going to work, right? So I took the original map into one of my graphics programs, cropped it down so that we ended up with this. And then what I'll do, I will use these 10-foot squares. Now you got to be careful with this. If I get it up to past 800%, it crashes. So I'll find a spot somewhere in the middle, like right here, and you can draw the grid. So you want to draw new grid with mouse, and anybody that's watched me do this knows I'll sit here a long time getting this grid perfect. But you do that, it'll create a grid. And you can see it's growing as we go south. So we need to shrink the top portion. You know, the height. And you'll end up creating a new map with the grid on it inside of here. And save it. And then you end up with something like this. Let me find it. I have so many maps that I've been working on. So then you end up with this. This is the Willowwood map. And as you see, there's the grid there. It also, you can see the title, it's 89 wide by 115 high with 100 pixels. That'll fit. That won't fit. I ended up redoing this and cropping it down. And it's still tight. So that's where I use the downscaling on this one, because these maps are just stupid, let's be honest. But that makes it so you are starting with it gridded. You use it as your trace image, and everything works perfectly. And I think once I pull it in, for some reason, it always works out for me. It's probably the same for everybody. You do it at 2.56 magnification. It lines up with the grid inside of Dungeon Draft, and you're done. But this was one of the maps that, I mean, I guess I could have scaled it down some, but even taking this off would not have taken off enough to get it to the 8900 pixels that you need it to be below. So that's one of the reasons I'm really happy I'm using the Forge, because of the downscaling. They need to, if somebody would create a downscaling module for Foundry, if you're running on your PC and letting people log in, that would be freaking awesome. But I mean, that's my workflow to get a map ready. With this, I just used a reference image, counted off my squares, and just started going. And anything I do like this, or any random encounter map, I mean, I'm not starting with a trace. I may have an idea what I want to do, or like, I know that this has been done. And, you know, it's easy to figure out. I guess I should probably title this too. I guess we'll do that. The Yawning portal. I think I want to do it in bold. And let's put it down here. Let's zoom in, make sure we didn't do something stupid and spell anything wrong. I am not going to worry about putting in 1 square equals 5 feet. And we're done. Now we're done. I keep saying we're done. I mean it this time. All right, now we'll export this thing, and we will call it done. I'm lazy and don't feel like retyping it. This will be the quickest save ever. All right, there's that. Did I ignore what I said I was going to do? No, it's 200 pixels. We're good. And then we'll go in and take a look and see if this is an improvement over when we were doing 100 pixels on like the JPEG. Because I know some people will only be able to use that because they're not using Foundry. Which you should be. All right, let's see how it looks. That's pretty clear. It's actually pretty damned clear. Let's look at the JPEG. Yeah, that extra 100 pixels makes a difference. And we'll be able to do it this way on the smaller maps. It's just those big maps. They are enough to give you an aneurysm. And I've said this every time I've worked on a map, and I'll say it again. Yes, I could light this kind of stuff inside of Dungeon Draft. I could, but it doesn't translate well. It ends up looking really bright and really ugly. So you're better off using the lighting tools inside of Foundry for any of your lighting, and you'll be much happier with how the map looks and how the light translates, you know, to your players, instead of looking like you're staring at a ball of sunlight in the middle of the screen. And I've messed with intensity and stuff like that. It just doesn't look as nice as the tools that are inside of Foundry. So, yep, I am happy with that. Yeah, when we did it at 100 pixels, this would have been not good. But yeah, I think the water effect does a good job of making it look like there's depth here. All right, good deal. Done and done. So I guess we need to decide... Ah, my freaking knees. Need to decide what we'll map out next week. We'll do another map on Wednesday. I think I'm going to jump all over the place as far as what randoms and encounters we're going to try to build maps out for. So, I don't know. We might do some stuff from there are random encounter maps I'd like to do for Horde of the Dragon Queen, because there are a ton of random stuff there that I ended up just pulling down, you know, whatever crappy map I could find when I ran it. And I wasn't really happy because it didn't match the descriptions and stuff. So I think we're going to work on maps for that. Some Waterdeep random maps, because there's a lot of stuff in the 2 Waterdeep adventures that don't have proper maps. And I mean, if we go in and take a look, let me pull this down here. If we take a look at like Dragon Heist, you know, we're back to this. Black and white maps. Not great. So let's take care of that. And then there's some things where it's just like no map available. So I think we're going to map out some Waterdeep stuff for randoms inside the city. And that might be the next couple of weeks worth of maps, is taking care of some of these things. And then we'll get back on finishing up a Cretan Labyrinth. You mean like from Greek mythology? Yeah, we can mess with that down the road. Ooh, let me see. I gotta check the new egg shuffle. Might be too late. Still trying to get another graphics card. Oh, that one ended. Was there anything I wanted there? 3080 would have been nice. All at retail. Motherfuckers. They had what, one, two... They had a lot of models today on the shuffle. We should have done that. I'll go in randomly and what as a unicasual maze. Unicausal. Yeah, so looking at that. All right. Yep, takes you right to your doom. All right. So it's almost 2, and I have to. I got to give Icy her pill. So we're going to get ready to do that, and then I have to eat some lunch, and then I have to go out for a couple of hours, which I don't want to do. But it is what it is. Got to do what you got to do. I'm not that excited about it. Gelatinous cubes. My party would walk right into that fucking thing. They would not stop. Blam! That paladin, he'd be naked again. That is his one role in life, to be the naked paladin. They've gotten to where they carry spare armor that they find with them, because he always ends up naked. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. So that's going to be it for the day. When I get back, I may get on, and if I do, I'll probably get on and play some Outriders, because I'm leveling something up again. And I might stream it. I'll see. I'll be playing with my son. We'll see. And then tomorrow is FPS day. I don't know if I'm going to play COD tomorrow. I'm not motivated to do that. So we'll see if I decide to do that or what FPS we play. I am happy we finished off this map. So that's a good thing. Now we can look toward what we're going to do next week. Like I said, I might start working on some of those small black and white maps from Waterdeep, because those things, I really hate those black and white maps. I got to admit it. And then when I get some of those done, because they're multi-leveled, I want to experiment with one of the modules for in there, where when you move a token in, it'll teleport you from one zone to another and make sure that stuff works. Then I'll be able to use that with my party, because we could have used that going through Mad Goth's castle. I just didn't want to go in on my live server and do it. I want to run it on a test server and see how it works first. But that'll be it. If you haven't done so already, hit that follow button, and we will see you next time. We'll be on tomorrow, maybe this afternoon, definitely tomorrow. Have an awesome day. Look at that. Stream Elements said it right after I said it. Good job, Stream Elements. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to have to do this manually, because Stream Deck is saying I don't want to work. We don't work here anymore. All right. Have a good one, everybody.